I see you hanging out with several celebrities, big in name, small in stature. Guys like Hezbollah and Abdul now, which team are you on?
Abdul, of course. That's my little man right there.
So, Badou, what's all the hype with these guys?
I don't know. I heard they're going to fight, I think, like right after I leave. So mid-December sometime. They're in a real boxing fight, those two little guys.
Stop it.
Oh, that's going to do big.
Stop it.
I heard they're making a lot of money, too.
Yeah, I heard the checks were 7-figure checks. Yeah. That's the word on the street.
We were born in the wrong height.
Well, look, what are they going to fight with like 10-ounce gloves? They can't fight with 10-ounce gloves. Gloves come to their elbows.
They can do UFC gloves.
Yeah,
they could do UFC gloves.
Like 2-ounce gloves or something.
Yeah, those are tiny.
Yeah, but those guys they're making a ton of noise. There was I saw Hezbollah was over at I saw he was over at the UFC. He came over to the fight there. And he made a special appearance. He seems to be getting a lot of love from those guys and Khabib and all.
Both was there. They was actually kicking each other. They was almost fighting at the UFC show. Yeah,
oh, really?
Yeah, they was kicking each other. They was like having a little fight, street fight.
Oh my god,
man! Speaking of people making 7 figures, these guys getting paid. I'm hearing all types of weird smoke about how boxers and you're getting paid. What's up with that?
Let me clarify that. So there was a story that came out, and it's funny about the fee that Badou was getting paid.
Like, wait a minute, what?
So here's a couple of things you got to understand. This is a co-promotion between Badou Jack Promotions and Probellum. What Badou Jack gets paid and what Badou Jack Promotions gets paid, they're two totally different numbers. What Badou gets paid for training camp is a different number. I will say that we're very content in where the money is for this fight, and it's going to keep growing. And it's in the Middle East, and we have a great partnership over there, and we're just going to willing to keep growing it and building it. And Badou Jack Promotions is going to make some big noise in the Middle East, so that can kill that story. But
I think it's more defensiveness than anything.
It could be.
And white.
Yeah. There was a story that came out about that, but yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, it's funny, it's and that's okay because nobody knows, and of course Dana understands the business and he understands how things work, and the blessing is you just have to understand the business of boxing. So Badou Jack Promotions is getting paid a nice fee. Badou Jack is getting paid a nice fee. Training camp expenses.
Training camp money.
Yeah, so training camp money is
you better pay his UFC fight a little bit more.
Exactly. Yeah, maybe we'll come to the UFC and fight.
I love how he snuck it in too. He was like, a prelim fighter makes $750,000 here. That guy happened to be Michael Chandler, former undefeated champion that they agreed to fight first to get the card hyped up.
Well, listen, let me say something. Dana can pay his guys whatever he wants to pay them, and it's working for him. Because look, remember, as a promoter and understanding that side of the business, he has built this entity that people just want to be affiliated with. The problem is they get involved with the sport, they get big through his channel, through his hard work, through his sweat equity, through all of the the labor of building that name, that brand, and then they start demanding and say, well, we don't get paid like these other guys. It doesn't matter. Then go somewhere else.
Hey,
here we go. This is the fighter's perspective of it.
That guy don't risk his life. That guy don't put in the hard work in the gym though.
Badou, I'm with you.
The fighters.
But
bro, they're the fighters. But I understand what you're saying. But
this is where you and I always butt heads, and that's why you have that gash on your head.
Boxing, make some real money.
No, right? No. Boxing, of course, boxing makes a lot more money. I mean, look what Caleb Plant did last week against Canelo.
Okay, so here's my argument to it, and I know we have disagreeing opinions on this. The UFC is more similar to professional sport leagues like the NFL and NBA than it is boxing.
But it's not.
But it is. It falls under one umbrella, as you just said.
It does fall under, but you can't look at the ratios of percentages as those.
But why not? Because UFC fighters are getting 18% as to where every other professional sports league is above 30.
Yeah, so
that's a double. And MMA is more dangerous.
I'm not saying that the MMA fighters.
MMA is not more dangerous.
No, listen, I don't think MMA is more dangerous. I don't.
No, than the NFL and basketball and soccer and the UFC, or baseball.
I don't believe MMA is more dangerous than boxing. Boxing,
No,
the
no,
ratio
no,
of
I'm not
punches to the
saying
head.
that. No, I'm not saying
I
that.
never heard of a person that died in the MMA ring.
Guys,
Ever.
I'm saying the UFC is more similar to the NFL, more dangerous than the NFL, NBA.
I agree with that.
Baseball, not boxing.
Yeah, okay, I agree with that. But hang on, let's go back to this.
NFL is probably more dangerous. I think NFL is probably more.
Those helmet. By the way, I got to tell you, Badou. You know, Dustin was the only player ever in history of football to play without a helmet. That's why his memory is the way it is. Yeah, he gets hit head to head without a. They have helmets. He just didn't. He opted to.
Right now.
He opted not to wear a helmet. Anyway, no, with the UFC, he can pay those guys whatever they want, whatever the UFC decides to pay. Now, is there a union involved, a players union?
That's what they're trying to get, and he's trying to block that.
Well, of course, anybody that privately, holds, even though it's publicly traded now, right? But everybody that holds that kind of, power that established the business would not want to have a union involved. But I will say this, to Dana's defense, is he built this thing arguably single-handedly. I mean, he has a great team around him, but arguably single-handedly. And he can pay these guys what he wants to pay them. If not, there are other promotions out there, but it's a promotion in the sport. The NFL is the only football league, I mean, outside of those Canadian leagues and the XFLs and all of those.
That's why it's so much more similar to the NFL than is boxing. Because let's just be real, those other promotions are ants compared to the UFC.
Correct.
Just like Canadian football is an ant compared to the NFL.
And how do they pay compared to the NFL?
Nothing.
Right. Just like what's the gentleman that came on, Nick, that came on here, the basketball player that plays in the European League. But it's another professional league, but what the NBA pays is different because they built that.
But what I'm saying is that athletes in those leagues get double the percentage of the revenue share than the UFC guys.
Put the rev share aside. Look at what they're getting paid against those other promotions. Again, I know there's a big controversy about it. Look, I was a fighter, so on the side of where Badou is, I agree with Badou. On the side of where Dana's sitting, I agree with that pay model works. And mind you, there's just like boxing, and it's kind of ironic. It's the same thing that Dana's talking about. Is he knows about a number that's one of the three payments that Badou is getting, or that's covering training camps that were allotted. The same thing happens. The same thing happens in UFC. It's there are other streams of income. So the fighter will make X amount for the fight, maybe an X amount for a win bonus, X amount for a performance, X amount for a knockout, X amount for a sponsorship from Reebok, and then all combined, that they're making good money.
All you got to do is just add another zero in the back of it. Then
right, and then the total amount. Right.